Hi everyone, today we will learn about JUnits. So what is exactly JUnit? It is a regression test framework for Java programming language, and it had been important in the development of the test driven development TDD. We refer to as test driven development. What that means is you write some test cases, do short and independent test cases, and then you do the coding and then you write the test cases. So it basically helps you identify the defects in the early phases, right? Then for every kind of every business requirement that you would be having, so there will be corresponding at least two test cases, positive, negative scenarios, and there can be others as well, right? But these will be the two minimum scenarios that we'll be writing the test cases for. And then so you keep them short, independent. um, when we say small and independent, right, so you write very less piece of the implementation and then you write the corresponding test case. You keep identifying the defects, right? So the proper guideline around that is you use the proper naming conventions for the test cases. For the GNU test cases you'll be writing, you have a proper folder structures that help you keep independent from the main code, but we'll keep the structure quite similar. And so if you see here the naming conventions, for this class I've created a particular test case, test class. So this is my name of the main class and this is the name of the test class, and this is the name of the method corresponding to which I'm writing the test case. So get user info is the name of the method, and my test case I'm writing is get user info test. So my name is pretty clear, right? So for what is the purpose of this particular test case I'm going to write about. Also the structure would be quite similar what we have in the main folder, right? So inside test we will follow the similar kind of the folder structures as well, right? And also you don't put anything, and your methods are public and void in nature, and you don't include any arguments, right? So when writing the test cases, so this is one of the practice. Also in this case you can see I'm following a AAA approach. So what exactly is a AAA? It is a pattern wherein I would be organizing my JUnit test cases. So let me come to that. So before that, I will let you know what are some of the common guidelines we should make sure while writing the test cases. So the suit method that we defined, right? So that is basically that should be public and static in nature. So these are not recommended. It should be public, static, and the order of the test cases it should not be assumed. They should be in the same order in which we want the execution. So this is my first class that would be executed, then this. Setup method, it says use setup instead of the parameterized constructors, right? So this method we can use. If you see here, I've used the setup method over here, right? And you can put the common code for context initialization or any cleanup code in this particular setup method, right? So a setup method, it should call the super dot setup, and tear down should call the super dot tear down, any super class which it is implementing, right? Regarding assertions, so what exactly are assertions? Wherein you are basically comparing it, right, with the actual and the expected values. So in this case, it says JUnit assertion should include a message, right? So this is the message. Always follow a 3-argument version wherein you include a message, expected and the actual values, rather than just defining that. It's recommended to use a message as well, right? That's a good practice. And also every test case that you will be having, it should have one assert statement. So it makes your test cases more robust, and it gives the developer the idea what that particular test case is doing. Say for example, I'm here checking around the null pointer. So I've added assert not null statement over here. Similarly over here in case of the Boolean literal, right? So with Boolean literal, it is unnecessary since it's you're evaluating that thing, right? Then around assertions, few of the guideline, rather than using x dot equals y over here, right? You use simply assert equals. You have a method assert equals, rather than using this method, you use this one. Similarly, there are other good practices you use, which are defined over here. Then around the JUnit 4, it should include the test suits via annotations and not the suit method, right? So the one which we were seeing over here in this workspace is JUnit 5. So whichever version you're using, you include that in the pom.xml. So the prerequisite for JUnit is you have a JDK or the Java installed on your system, and then you have build tools like Maven or Gradle installed, and then JUnits. And then you can define the corresponding dependency in the workspace. So this is a Spring Boot project. I have defined the dependency in the pom.xml. Then around, this is just one of the other best practice, that instead of a tear down method, I'm using a @after annotation. Right, so over here for this setup, I'm using @before annotation. AAA approach is what I was just discussing around. So firstly, you are arranging, so you're performing the setup and the initialization that is required for this execution. So herein I'm using Mockito. Basically, I'm trying to mock the objects. Mock is where basically you're simulating the behavior of your complex or your real objects, right? So I'm simulating the behavior that is from the service, um, calling this method. So when this, then it will return this particular thing, right? So then you apply the actual, you do the actual actions. So in this response, I'll be putting this value that I'll be getting from the service. Assert is wherein you will be actually checking the statement, right? You'll be comparing these two values. So it's best practice to follow AAA approach when you're writing any of the test cases. So this pattern helps you organize and break down your test cases. Then around the location, it is not a good practice to define the absolute location over here. I have defined the complete path. It's better to store that in a common configuration file, and then you define the relative path over here that you can see here, right? Then this we already covered, right? You can use mocking to replace the real objects. So you have different other mocking tools like Mockito, Power Mock is there. Then once you have those JUnits created, so you can check the code coverage, and definitely your test cases would improve your coverage to a great extent once you'll be running the tools like SonarCube or Chakaku. So these are some of the best practices. I hope this really helps you understand the JUnits in a. So if you see here as well, I've missed to explain one quick scenario. Let me just cover that. So as we have seen this, for get user info, I've created this get user info test method, right? So here, this is my expected is ABC, and this is from the response I'm getting the name as. Uh, so for this particular case, so this is my arrange, wherein I'm arranging my objects. Act is wherein I'm performing some action. Assert is I'm asserting. I'm checking the values, right? What value I'm getting from the response, is that matching with the expected value. So in this case, it should match, and it should result a positive. And once the test case is executed, you can see the run. So it has passed and it is green, right? So in case I pass over here as DEF, or something else, right? It should return me a negative value, and I'm running my test case. So you can see here what is the error I'm getting. Expected is this, right? Expected is this, and this is the actual I'm getting, ABC. So in this case, it has failed. So I try to cover the few of the concepts around JUnits and the best practices for writing the test cases. In case you like my video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.